Okay, welcome everyone. Just make sure. So in the chat, uh, please add your name, company name, and location of where you're calling in from, and that just lets us know who you are and where you're calling in from. So welcome everyone. This is V-GovCon Live with Varetta Huggins. I hope everybody's having a great day today. And we got more folks coming in, but we'll start. All right, I see you, Crystal. Thanks for putting in your information, Crystal. Nicole, I see those coming in. So again, thanks everyone again. V-GovCon Live, and we're about to start. So tonight, just want to welcome all those folks who are new and Happy New Year. We're in 2022 already. I can't believe. But last year, a lot's happened in 2021, and we're just glad to be moving on. But we got lots done in 2021, and we're now ready for 2022. All right. So with that, just wanted to go through some of the questions that we got come in. So I see everyone putting in Vanessa from Tucson, Miami. Awesome. See, uh, Aston from Georgia. Just keep putting in your information in the chat. That way we know who you are. So we did get a couple, some questions that you guys submitted for this event. Throughout the night, I'll try and answer some questions. We're also going to be putting it on our V-GovCon Live webpage, so we'll be able to send that out about 30 minutes after this. But we'll also update with more questions that we got throughout the next couple of days, so that you'll have access to the answers to your questions. But in terms of some of the questions that came in, sounds like we have a lot of folks who are still wondering what is it they're interested in government contracts, what's the process. So Dr. Vanetta asks, what is the process to get government contracts? I see some questions about how can you get government contracts and grants. And so in terms of that, the message is still the same. It's making sure you have a cage code. So I met with some of you in Florida last month in December, and I can tell you that when I gave my talk during the workshop, that I knew some of you already had your DUNS number, but some of you had never heard about the cage code. Cage code is what identifies you as a government contractor. So you need that cage code to be able to get government contracts. We're going to go through some goals tonight, and I do have GovCon goals, which are government contracting goals that you'll see, and that can start giving you some ideas as to what the process is if you're going after government contracts, and what are some of the things you need to put in place to be able to start going after contracts. Some of you asked, where do I start for, I think, Eureka? Where would be a place to start when trying to contract with government to provide housing? So a lot of the opportunities are on sam.gov. So you can find a lot of the opportunities there. If you're interested in government contracting, you don't really know where to go find those opportunities, those procurement opportunities. Sam.gov is the best place. It was updated last year to include lots of different databases. You could even find grant opportunities on sam.gov. Just go there, do a search, put in your keyword. You can put in NAICS code. You could put in different options. You can put in that you only want to see opportunities in Florida. You can also see who's getting the contracts that you're looking for. So you could in some of the search, you could mainly search for contracts and it will tell you who your competitors are. And that way you could start identifying who they are. You can even go check them out on their website, find some information they have there, and that gives you an idea of, hey, I might be able to partner with this company. So those are some of the ways that you can find these opportunities. Don Hayes asks, how do I locate top vendors for my janitorial supply service to contract to the government? So again, SAM.gov has who the contracts are going to, so you can find the name of the company, the top vendors who are getting those janitorial contracts. And once you find that, a lot of times they have the website, you can go directly to their website, find the information that you need, find a contact person, and then start that relationship. If you're new to government contracting, I'll tell you it's all about relationships. Relationship with partners, other business partners. If you want to start off with getting a subcontract, that's a relationship that you have to gain with a prime contract or a teaming partner. So that's a relationship that you have to start building. If you're looking at prime opportunities, you have to start building those relationships with those small business offices, and they're in every single agency at the federal level, the state level, and the county and city level. Okay? So find the small business liaison, find a small business office. They're the ones working on your behalf. So they will take your call, they will give you their contact information, and their job is to find how you can get into that agency to do business as a contractor. And they'll even give you the name, number, and email for the person who's procuring the services or goods you're selling. So I want you to start thinking about that. How do you market to these government agencies? It starts with a capability statement, it starts with a phone call, it starts with an email. And if there are opportunities where there are webinars or face to face meetings, use those opportunities to get your name to these government agencies and to the folks who are buying the services and goods that you're selling. So marketing is key. We're in quarter two, federal government, their fiscal year. We're currently in fiscal year 2022. It started October 1st and quarter one ended December 31st. So quarter two started January 1st and it's going to end March 31st. If you are interested in government contracting, quarter two is when a lot of the agencies, a lot of the government clients are putting out what's called an RFI, request for information. They also call it a sources sought or a market survey. It's when the government's trying to figure out their acquisition strategy. And a lot of times when they're doing that, they're putting these RFIs or sources sought out because they're trying to find the small business who can do the work. They're trying to find the minority business, the hub zone business, the 8A business, the woman owned small business. They're trying to find you, the hub zone business. And so they'll put a sources sought out RFI for you to respond. When you respond, now they know who you are because you're providing that capability statement to them. You're providing the information that they're asking for. So I want you to start thinking that way. This month, you should have goals in place that you can now take those goals, and some of these goals are you're now going to go and start working on being able to start marketing, being able to respond to RFIs, RFQs, and RFPs. RFPs are requests for proposal. If you're telling me, hey, Varetta, I'm interested in government contracting, I already have my cage code, but I don't know what to do after that. You start marketing to government. You start marketing to prime contractors who already have the contract that you're trying to get on. And how do you do that? And I've talked about being able to send that capability statement out. But the other part of this is being able to look. You can use SAM.gov, Um, but you can also find on different websites, and it might be that agency website, it might be that prime contractor website who's hiring. They just got the contract and now they're hiring. And guess what? They're looking for, if they're a services based company, they are looking for people to do the work. And if you know you're one of those people, that's the easy way for you to find out what's going on their website, find out what they're looking for. If you realize that's within the services you're providing, contact them. If you're selling products, look on sam.gov again, find out who's getting these contracts, and go market to those prime contractors who've got the contracts that you're trying to get on. But those are just some strategies that I'm providing to you, and that's some of the answers that I'm getting to you based on some of the questions that you provided. So now we're going to get into what we're talking about tonight, which is goal setting. So the importance of goal setting. So as a small business, we set up a vision for a company, and then we write up a nice mission statement, right? But if you're doing that, do you have the goals that go with that are aligned with your vision and your mission? So if your vision is where you are going and your mission is how you're going to get there, your goals should be those mile markers along the way for you to be able to attain that vision. So I look at my vision as what I use BHAG, that big, hairy, and audacious goal that's hard to meet, right? And so if your vision is all the way in the future, it's something you're attaining to get to. And for me, my vision is serving the US government as the number one enterprise PMO service provider. Now, you know that's going to take a while for me to get there. I'm talking being number one. So, what am I going to do to be able to get there? And that's where making sure that you're setting smart goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals. Your goals you should be able to measure them. So if you said and you should be able to add that timeline on them. So if you're saying you have a goal, you should be talking about what is the time you want to attain that goal by. And we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you some examples. But you should also be able to add milestone to those goals. How do you know you're getting things done? Little milestones along the way help us as small business owners feel so much better. When you know you got that little check mark that you can do and you're like, wow, oh, I got that done. Thank God. Moving on to the next one, right? And those are those little milestones along the way. Your actions are things you're actually doing, and we're going to talk a little more about that. But if you're here tonight and goal setting might be a challenge for you, get an accountability partner. It always helps when you know someone else is helping you. And I notice I say partners because you might have a partner for different things. You might have a partner that's helping you with the sales part. Okay, you set a sale goal that you wanted to complete 3 or 4 or 5 RFIs this month. Where are we? Right? You might have another partner just for little things you need to get done. It might be working on that capability statement. It might just having someone review it and provide feedback. It might be just getting you on the path to being able to get some work completed. It might be getting you where you're getting your certifications completed. So you can have different accountability partners along the way for different things that you're working on. The next thing here is setting your personal goals. So I put this here as an example of personal goals that I'd set. And if you were in Florida, you heard my story, and I used kind of like a goal setting to give you an example of what I did to be able to attain my long-term goals. So with this, what I say is start with your long-term goals, because that long-term goal is similar to your vision. So you hear me talk first where figure out what that vision is. That vision should scare you because it's going to be something that you're like, wow, that's way out in the future. I got to figure out all the things I need to do to be able to attain that vision. So your long-term goal, sorry, is something you have, you've written it down, and you've set a timeline as to how you're going to get there. In my case, I set my long-term goal here that I wanted to own my own software consulting company. Notice that these statements starts with I am. The two most powerful words in the English dictionary. I am, because when you put I am, you know you're saying I'm going to do something. I'm going to do this, right? And that's what that means. Is if you say I am, then you need to wake up every morning understanding that you set those goals and now you have to do something to go and attain those. So, what I did here with my personal goals years ago is started with my long term goal. I figured what that was going to be, and then I started working on short term goal and then midterm goals to be able to get there. And I can tell you it was, and you can see the timeline here, it took me about 15 years to get there. But I will tell you that along the way, there were things that changed and things that kept moving. So when I started the short-term goal, I just wanted to get enrolled in a U.S. college. And for me to get there were milestones. I had to do application process. I had to go read upon some of these colleges. I had to send in different documents that they were requesting. So those are some milestones that I had along the way and actions that I took to be able to get those completed. Now, midterm goal for me, I wanted to get my bachelor's degree, and that was not a problem. But then after that, started working on my master's, and it took me that long because I started in one master's program in one city, and I moved, and I had to enroll in another master's program. So it took me a while, and then during that time, I delivered my firstborn son. So it took me a while just to get past that hurdle. So notice that you might set goals and you might have a timeline on when you want to attain that goal, but then life happens, right? And when life happens, you just got to go and you got to start resetting goals. You might clear some stuff out and add some new stuff. But at the end of the day, the long term goal is still the same, right? So here for me, I wasn't planning on getting a PMP. When I started my short term goals, I didn't even know what a PMP was. But along the way, notice that this was something that I realized for what my long term goal was, I needed to have that. And so I added that as a new goal. So along the way, you're going to realize that you'll be able to add new goals. And you might realize that life happens and things get different, things get difficult. But keep the long term goal as that vision of where you're trying to go. And make sure every day you're doing something to attain those. So, quick story if you were in the Florida audience, I shared this. So it took 15 years to get this. And what you're seeing here, 2009 is when I started my consulting company, V Project Management Consulting. Last year in 2021, still following a goal pattern where I'm always writing down these goals, doing that for my company. And I can tell you that last year in 2021, we received a $2.5 billion contract from Department of the Navy. Now, was that worth it? Was it worth it? Of course it was. And guys, I'm not saying $1 million, I'm saying $1 billion. Okay? So just think of all these goals that I set along the way, and it takes time. So that's why you need to write them down. That's why you need to start with I am, because that's how you know you are going to get it done. The next part I have here is setting GovCon goals. And GovCon goals, notice they're not the same as your personal goals. This has to do with number one, your business, and number one, only if you're interested in going after government contracts. So I have here a short-term goal, 30 days, midterm goal, 2 to 12 months, and then long-term goal 2 to 5 years. Now, I could have added lots more stuff here. I wanted you to focus on some areas that I know some of you have talked to me about. And so for the first one, I'm going to be knowledgeable in government contracting. You're here tonight because you heard or you read something that was like, you know what, I need to learn about that. And so with government contracting, I'm still learning new stuff every day. I don't know it all. The government keeps changing the rules, the regulations. So guess what? If they keep changing it, there's new stuff we have to do every day, every month, every year in government contracting. So that means that we're always going to be in a learning pattern, gaining more knowledge in government contracting. So for some of you, this might be your first session where you're gaining that knowledge that you need to know about government contracts. Awesome. And I will tell you, if you keep attending some of these sessions, we cover a lot of information. And then even after that, we do coaching sessions with you to be able to help you along the way. The midterm goals I have here will help you with that long-term goal. So if you're a long-term goal, and some of you sent in some questions, I want to be able to get a government contract. I want to be able to get a government grant. It all starts with that cage code. If you're trying to get a government grant, and I can tell you, last year in June, President Biden talked about adding 100, at least 50% more of what they've been providing to be able to help with small disadvantaged businesses getting government contracts. And they've also added money to the pot to help with grants. And it's way over $100 million, I can tell you that. So with that, it starts with that cage code. If you're going after grants, you need a cage code. If you're going after government contracts, you need a cage code to do business with the federal government. That's your starting point. Once you get there, there are other steps along the way, but that's where the goals come in, because you have to write this stuff down. You have to understand what the goals are. You have to understand the path to you getting that first prime contract. And that path means there are things you need to get along the way for that to happen. And what we do in some of our strategy sessions, we provide you with those roadmaps to give you an idea of these are the things you need to do if you want to be able to go after government contract, if you want to be able to become a government contractor, if you want to be able to obtain government grants. And so during our strategy session, we normally talk about those so you can get an idea of where you are today and where you need to go. So just to break this down, what I did here is just use one of these goals. I'm going to obtain a cage code. So if you're going to obtain a cage code, just know that there are milestones along the way that you still have to go through. So a lot of you, when you come to me and talk, if you called into one of our discovery calls, I might have asked you, do you have your EIN yet? Do you have a DUNS number? Because those are milestones along the way. So make sure you're putting those, that you note that if your goal is, I want to be able to get that cage code, there are milestones along the way that you have to start writing out to be able to add actions to them to make sure that every day you're doing something to be able to obtain that goal. So if this is your 30-day goal, and I normally don't put it as a 30-day goal, because let's say you plan on doing all the paperwork and getting all the actions completed. This is a government system. You're applying for a cage code from the government, and they take between 2 to 30 business days for you to get that cage code. So let's say you've already started that process, or you're part of the group that we're working with this week to be able to get that cage code. You do your application this week. There's going to be a back and forth with you and the government for things that they're trying to verify to ensure that you meet all their qualifications to be able to get that cage code. So I have here where if you're obtaining your EIN, there are actions you need to take. You have to come up with a name. I work with a new A lady last week on Saturday, she wanted to be able to start up a new business, and I had to go through this with her, just the milestone of being able to obtain that EIN. Do you have a name for your company? She gave me one name, and by the ending of the day, she changed the name to a different name. So those are things that you have to have in place already, or start taking actions to be able to obtain those. And know that the actions, if she had completed all four of these actions, now she had what she needed to be able to go and apply to get that EIN. So follow this guidance and be able to do this for every goal that you have. Create the milestone chart. What are those milestones that you need to have along the way for you to be able to obtain that goal? For each one of these milestones, come up with an action plan. What are things that you still need to get? So I have here another one. Some of the questions that were coming in were, I want to be able to get a government contract. We're working with different folks, and I've heard folks come and tell me, hey, Brett, I want to get a contract in 3 months. That's my goal. That's great. I will tell you that's great. But are you doing this? Do you have a goal where you're responding to 5 solicitations monthly? And 5 is a good number, but it's not the best number. I'll tell you that. But you need a starting place, right? So how many so my question to you, if you already got that cage code, you want to actively go after government contracts, how many solicitations did you complete in January? If the answer is zero, don't expect to have a goal that you're going to get a contract in 3 months. Okay? You have to write the goal down, put some milestones with that goal, and then come up with your action plan. So I have here one of the milestone. I'm going to bid on 3 RFIs monthly. RFIs are requests for information. So if your goal is that, I can tell you week 1 starts. And if you haven't found that RFI yet, you start looking for that RFI in week 1, right? That's the action. Then you want to be able to start reviewing that RFI. And you might be looking at several RFIs to review at the same time. And then you're determining, am I bidding on this? Do I have the qualifications? Might be a bid or a no bid. So you might have gone through 30 different RFIs just to come up with the 3 that you want to bid on. And once you do that, the next action is you're preparing the RFI response. And it takes work, I'll tell you. Start with 1 a month if you haven't done this before. Why? Because you gotta understand and have this action in place to be able to do that. So once you're putting these actions in place, and you do that one, let's say for February, because we're at the ending of January right now, right? Let's say you put those in place. Now you have kind of like a template you're using for that RFI response. So let's say in March, so in February you got 1 out, right? In March you want to increase that now to, you know what? I think I could do 2 RFI responses in the month of March. So you've got a template you've used in place, and I tell folks, if you have a capability statement, and we provide guidance and training on how to do your capability statement, you've got 2 pages already that you can send in. Some of these capability statement responses, so an RFI, sometimes they ask for a 5-page. I'm working on one right now that's due this week. They're asking me for 5 pages capability statement. I've already got 2 pages ready to go, front and back of my capability statement. So now I'm going to add another page where I'm answering their questions, another page where I'm showing how we qualify based on their requirements, and another page just to show our past performance. And that's 5 pages right there. And now we're able to submit that RFI response on time. Because if you're late by 1 minute, 2 minutes, you just lost that opportunity. I will tell you, last year alone, we submitted several RFI responses that came in favorable. We had 1 RFI response that ended up in an actual contract, a direct award contract. I don't know if we're the only ones that submitted the RFI, but they just called us and gave us a contract. Another RFI response that ended up in a down select. What that means is because we submitted, we're now part of the team of, let's say, and I'm coming up with the number, 5 vendors, government contractors who responded. So now they sent the RFP only to the 5 companies. And now we were able to send in a response based on that. So it wasn't advertised. The RFP did not go out to the world. It only came directly to our inbox. So RFIs are huge in terms of value, but they're little in terms of time. I'll tell you, I've knocked them out in a night. And again, it's just because I've been doing this a while. So you just starting to do this, you want to be able to say, you know what? Let me just focus on one for February. Let's try and get that as our um or milestone goal, that we're just gonna get one done in February, and let's see what that looks like. So you start the work. Once you start doing it, you start being able to understand the process, understand what they're looking for, and now you've got a template in place that you can reuse for the next one and the next one. But when it comes to your goals, write them down. And make sure you're starting with the I am, because that means you say you're going to get it done. So, hope that was helpful. We do have a strategy session. We call it our V group strategy session, where we help folks with, if you're new to government contracting and you want to become a government contractor, we have a strategy session in place where we provide you with all the things that you need to know to become a government contractor for setting up your business as a government contractor. If you already have a cage code and you want to be able to go after government contracts, the next part is we can show you what are some of the things you need to put in place. What are some of the things you need to add to your goals, 30-day goal, your 2 to 12-month goal, to be able to get ready for government contracting. For those who are nonprofit owners, we do a similar where we show you if you want to be able to obtain those grants. And grants are used to help your community in any way. And I can tell you next month, we're focused more on showing you some of the opportunities that are in the small disadvantaged businesses that President Biden talked about. He's got money, and it's over $100 million, and it's way more than that for grants. I can tell you, way more than that for grants. Where if you're helping your community in any way, they've got money for you, where you can get that grant to be able to help that community. So again, if you're doing grants for a strategy session, we give you an idea of some of the things that you can start working on to be able to now go after grants. So again, this V group strategy session is different to some of the other ones that we've done. We're now giving you a bonus 60 days to be able to access our new site. We've got a new site that we're just starting out this month, and we're putting all of our training material in this site. So we're gonna open it up for you for 60 days for you to be able to access that. So the V Group strategy session, this offer is $349, and the price goes up February 1st. So 30 minutes after this session tonight, you'll be able to get an email, whichever email you signed up for, and we'll provide you with the link to that. If you've been to one of our strategy sessions before, then your next step is just signing up with us with a discovery call, and just let us know what are some of the new things that you want to do. If you saw some goal setting here that you want to be able to do, we offer one-on-one coaching, we offer monthly coaching, we offer 1 hour coaching. It depends on what you need. So going back to what we talked about with goal setting, I hope this will be able to help you with the information that you need to be able to, now we're in 2022, a lot of you are focused more on just being able to help bring in the revenue for your company. And by doing that, you're working directly with that client, you're making sure you're getting the revenue coming in. but who's working on the business? If you're working in the business, who's working on your business? It has to be you, and it starts with setting those goals. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to now open it for questions. And so this is where you can ask me a question. And Haley, if there are any questions that you saw, um, just let me know and then I can answer those questions. If you do have a question that you just want to ask, just raise your hand or and then we'll call on you. But now it can be questions can be about what we talked about, or it can just be about government contracting or where you are in your business. You just have some questions um, to be able
I was
to understand that.
I wasn't aware of the cage code, so thank you for bringing that up because I wasn't aware of the DUNS number, but I didn't know about the cage code.
Okay. So being that's you who's talking?
Yes.
Yes. So once you have that DUNS number, your next step is getting your cage code.
Yeah.
And we do have classes. I think we have one this Thursday, and our next one is in February. So we do have sessions that we offer, and we'll be able to provide some of that, so the links. I would say sign up for a discovery call, and what that does, if you're not sure what it is that you need right now, just sign up for a free discovery call with us, and we'll have a conversation with you, and then we'll let you know what the next steps are.
Is that the discovery call that we're looking at now, or
No, no,
is
this is a strategy session. This is more in depth. So discovery call is just 15 minutes. This is an hour session with me, and we go through a lot. We go through all the things you need, and it depends on where you are. So we
can you
go
put that on
through,
the chat?
yes. So Haley's gonna put the offer link on the chat. But thanks, Sabine.
No, thank you.
Anybody else?
Also,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to say thank you because the information that you gave just in this one little hour was so in depth. Most people are kind of stingy with the information. They don't tell you all of this, and you just gave it away.
Thank you. And Sabine, I'll tell you that I'm doing this because I've been to SBA, I've been to some of the business development centers, I've been to the PTACs, and they're telling you what you need to do, but they're not telling you how to do it. And that's the
Exactly.
difference in what we do. And then we're not hiding. I mean, there's over $500 billion. I don't want all that money.
Right.
And I know some of you want some of that, so that's why we're sharing the information. It's because we know there are minority companies out there, there are women companies out there are men companies out there that they're looking for different ways of making revenue. And that's what we can provide. We know it exists. Um, Gov- President Biden knows, and so he's increasing his budget to be able to help more the minority companies be able to go after government contracting because he know this is how you can build wealth.
Right.
And if you guys didn't know that, if you're a minority and you're trying to figure it out, you're like, oh man, these clients aren't paying. Government always pays their bills, so you don't have to worry about that in government contracting. Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Hello. I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is more in reference to how to choose which which category to pick when you're trying to figure out, which, like, if you're trying to start a new business and say, you want to do government contracting, how do you figure out which category to go with? I know you mentioned that you want to bid for software. I think something to do with software. But how did you figure out which one to go with? Was it already a skill set that you already had? And then the price that you have for the 349, is that a one-time price or is that a monthly price? Because I saw that it said it goes up February 1st.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll answer the offer question first. That's just a one time. $349 for one session, 1 hour session. And if you thought I provided a lot of content tonight, that session alone gives you a lot. And then we also give you access to our training site for 60 days where we've got lots more content in there. So that's what and that's a totally reduced discounted price. In terms of understanding what, so when I started government contracting, I used my skill set. As the owner, you're going to realize that at the end of the day, you have to know what it is that you are capable of doing because that's what the government's going to ask you. Can you do the work? Because if everybody around you quit, you got that contract, you are held accountable to make sure that the work gets done. And so you want to be able to use your skill set. My skill set is project management, IT project management, program management, portfolio management. So I use my skill set um, to decide what services I will be offering. And so I just build from there and know that when you start working with the government, you might be grading one thing and then you realize they push you in another way. So I'll give you an example. They pushed me into acquisition. I was writing the requirements that you would see. I was the one doing some of that work. I was writing requirements, working with their lawyers and their contracting staff. And so I ended up getting a skill set I didn't even know I needed. But that's the beauty about being able to start with what you know and being able to start adding more services to what you're already doing. Hope that was able to answer your question. Any other
It
questions?
did. Thank you so much.
And then
Hi,
Haley,
yes.
okay,
I'm
go ahead.
I'm on your website now, and I'm looking for the link to register for the discovery call, and I'm not seeing it in connection with the link that was provided. Is there an additional email or website that you have or a phone number?
Okay, good question. So on our website, if you go to it's called the the Government Contracting Success Program. Um, and on that page, there should be a link to the discovery call. There should also be a link to um, some of the services that we provide.
And I'm sorry, can you just repeat that once more?
It's the Government Contracting Success Program. Just so you know, everybody, if you're on this call 30 minutes after this session ends, you'll get an email from Calendly, and it will have the links to what you need to know.
Thank you.
So it'll have the offer link, and it will also have the link to a discovery call.
Can this live be available to us too, or no?
Yes, we are recording it. So once it takes us about a week to get through all the processing. And then what we do is we're going to put it on our V-GovCon live page for you to access from there. It
Thank
takes
you.
us a week though, but great question. Anyone else? Okay. Haley, can you read some of the questions from the chat for me and then I can
Yeah.
figure out how to answer?
Yeah, Tracy said she had a difficult time getting a DUNS number. So I don't know if you can offer her any guidance on that.
Okay, so Dunn's number, if you sign up for our strategy session, you also get access to our training site. In our training site, we have a quick PowerPoint on what you need to be able to get your DUNS number, and also the link for you to be able to go and get that DUNS number. If you don't sign up for a strategy session, I don't think we have the link, but you can just go do a Google search for Duns and Bradstreet, find a link to get a Duns number, and then from there, just make sure you're completing whatever they're asking you for. It's that easy. It takes about, and I know for EIN it's about 10 minutes. Duns is a little more because they're asking for a little more, but less than 30 minutes to get your Duns application completed. And then it takes about 2 days for you to get it. So I hope that was helpful.
Right. And then Jen just asked how long the strategy session is, but it's an hour, just for Jen.
The strategy session is an hour, and we put a lot of information in that one hour. And then you also get to ask questions ahead of time. So what we do is we get your answers ready, and we were able to answer those during the session. And then you
And
also again get access to training materials, and then to me for 60 days during that time.
those are the only questions, unless anyone thinks of anything else.
Yeah.
Um, I'm for my industry, I don't know if the government's been doing it. Um, but I find that I'm introducing something new in Florida, like in Miami. Um, I'm a massage therapist, and I would like to provide my services to the government, like the city workers. Um, so they don't know what to do with me.
Yeah, I would tell you, there are different ways you can do that. I've seen where if you can get a space in the government building, and I do know right now a lot of government buildings are not allowing people to be in there, but that would be one way. Just get a space in there. You don't have to worry about the clients. They're coming to you because they're in that building and they heard that you are offering great massages. And believe me, after a stressful job, that's what they need.
Right.
That's one way. I've seen where, so their government has a lot of events that they do across the US. And if you can get where you, and I would say a vendor at one of these events, I'll tell you this because I've done it. I've been to a conference and I'm like, oh, wait, free massages? What? And it might be free for me, but the government already paid that vendor for X number of people or whatever to be able to provide that service. So at the end of the day, for you to be um, working directly with the government, you still have to get that cage code, and then you start being able to get the different contracts onto that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions? Anything else, Haley, that you saw?
No, not that I saw.
Okay. Eh, Aston, did you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry.
Do you have to have a DUNS number in order to work with the government?
Jen, that's you? Yes. So you
Mhm.
need a DUNS number, but the government's not going to recognize you unless you have that cage code. DUNS number is the step before you get the cage code.
Mhm.
Okay? So you need your DUNS number first. So here's why you need a DUNS number. It's more like a business credit number. So think you've got a social and everything that you do is under that social. That's what your DUNS number is for your business. So that's how they're tracking your company and all that. The next step from that is the cage code because the DUNS is the payment part, but the cage is for everything government contracting.
Mm.
So there are different databases that they're gonna be using that cage code to identify your company, but the DUNS is tied to your business credit.
I piggyback on that, Ms. Higgins.
Yes.
Okay, because also DUNS number, it helps you with your credit. It helps build your business.
Yep.
But there is also a charge for DUNS now to getting a DUNS number, right? I have everything with the exception of my DUNS number because when you reach out to Dun and Bradstreet, right? Are we talking about that?
Yeah, it's free. There's no
It's
charge.
they will call you, or so the ones that are calling you to ask if you want to go ahead and join, or you get the mail and there's a charge. So that is fraud.
That's different. So
That
great
one is
question
different.
because I know some folks who got this and
Okay.
they're like, but you said it's free, Varetta. I had to pay somebody. No, the best place to get the link from,
Mm-hmm,
if you're not getting it from us, just to make sure you have the right link,
mm-hmm,
is sam.gov. There's a part on sam.gov that it tells
mm-hmm.
you go get a DUNS, and they give you the direct link to Dun and Bradstreet. Know that Dun and Bradstreet is a government
It is a
contractor.
god, right?
They got a contract to create the DUNS number for the government. Now, I will
Okay.
tell you, government's planning on getting rid of that. They're using a new ID called a SAMI ID, and that way they took DUNS out the business. But yes, it's the DUNS Um, it's Dunn's number, and so it'll be on a Duns and Bradstreet, and then from there
Mhm.
you'll be able to get a free Duns number.
Okay, and it will, if I had it before, but not now for my new business, will it affect my credit rating? Because it is also aligns itself with your credit rating. So if you go out to get that credit or a loan or lines of credit or whatever it is, you want to keep those, like your credit score, like you said, your social security number. London
Yep.
Bradstreet aligns itself
Yep.
with that. So like you said, it's going to be a new call. What you said, Sam? Yeah.
It's Sammy ID, I think it's called.
Sammy ID. Quick question for you. I just, not about a year ago, opened up my own recruiting and staffing. So I aligned myself with not Indeed, Monster, or none of those large vendors as yet. Do you think I would have to go in to get government contracts, meaning doing placement service for the labor board, or going to some of those career centers, or going to some of those second chances, people that have a background? Because I said, I'm not sure if this fits what I'm looking for, like doing health, placing teachers, anything government related,
Yep.
blah, blah,
Yes.
blah.
I'll give you an example. One of the contracts we won last year, it was to hire executive recruiters to be able to place candidates in government jobs.
In government jobs, right.
So I can tell you, yes, in terms of HR, there's lots of different opportunities out there for different agencies who they're looking to place people, and I can tell you right now that's one of the biggest
That's
problems.
the
It's
biggest
just that,
thing, right?
yep, it's hard to find those workers.
Yes, and it says everything you say, I am, which is a positive energy kind of thing.
Yep.
But I'm starting to get a little nervous. Like I said, I'm hoping that I didn't bite on more than I can chew, because believe it or not, in 1 week, I was asked to place 150 employees. Now I'm trying to figure out where to do my algorithm. I don't want to piggyback on Indeed or whatever, where they populate from the same company. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm wondering where can I go? That's where the government comes in to find employees, go down to the labor board, whatever. Where am I going? Where am I riding my horse? I mean, I'm sorry.
I will tell you, government uses LinkedIn a lot.
Now,
and
yes.
that is the number one social media site government uses. It's mainly because it's a professional site, and
Yes.
You'll find a lot of government folks. They update their profile. They'll respond to you on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But
Thank you for
great
your
I would
time.
also look at the universities, because a lot of students go to school, but then when they finish with their certification, they have no place to work.
True.
So I would look to them and partner up with a lot of the colleges in your city, to see if they can do like a transition, and each of those universities have like a career service department.
Yes.
So I would link up with them so that they could connect you with the students.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
There were 2 more questions.
Okay.
Yeah, Marilyn asked if there's any government conferences that you would recommend for attendance for someone interested in government contracting.
Okay, great question. We've gone to some of and think when you think government conferences, it depends on which government you want to target, because there are lots and lots of different government conferences. So DoD, Department of Defense, have conferences for Navy, Army, Air Force. Every year they have these different conferences where they will give you the list of these are what's coming down for fiscal year 2022, and these are the areas that we're looking for small businesses. So they'll provide you with the list of, hey, this is what services we're looking for. These are new procurement opportunities out there. So you can get an idea of DoD. At the smaller level, SBA have conferences. and you can just go to their website and find that information. We've done where government contracting companies such as U.S. Women Chamber of Commerce have different conferences that we've attended, and they've got government speakers at those conferences. And it's great information. They provide different things. So it's there are lots of different ones out there. You could definitely do a Google search in your area and find out what's available in your community. But yeah, they have them across the U.S. and they travel a lot to be able to provide some of those conferences to West Coast, East Coast, North, South, that kind of way.
And then the last one from Jen was if uh, you have to be an LLC to obtain government contracts.
No, you just have to be for profit. Government contracts is for profit companies. That's who get the government contracts. If you're a nonprofit, then grants is where you want to go. Grants.gov or sam.gov and just look for the grants option. All right. Any other questions?
Doesn't look like it.
I have
Okay,
I
well,
have a question. I'm sorry.
go ahead,
Sliding in here
Crystal.
in the last minute. So how, my wheels are turning over here. How in the world would a beauty and fashion company get in on government contracting?
You said beauty and fashion?
Fashion, yes.
Okay. What exactly are you selling? Beauty products or?
Well, I'm not so much, well, I do jewelry, handmade jewelry.
Okay. I've had that question asked several times. So my what I've seen, and again, there are different contracts depending on what you're looking for and what NAICS code it's under. But what I've seen in government, I've worked in the building at USDA, Department of Agriculture, and I've seen vendors come in. They have different places where the vendors can set up, and they've come in and they've sold their stuff to government customers, government employees, government contractors who are in that building, and that building holds thousands of people.
Okay.
That's one way. Another way is just getting a shop or being a vendor with the government to be able to have a space in their building. So think if you got a space in your building, you don't have to worry about those customers. They're coming to you.
Gotcha.
Lunchtime, break time, whatever. Then the other way is so state Department of State does this a lot. Military does this a lot, where they offer gifts, and so those are some of the ideas that I can think of. But again, figure out what your NAICS code is, and you
Mm-hmm.
can take that NAICS code, go to sam.gov, do a search,
Mm-hmm.
and find out who's buying, which agencies are buying your services, and who's getting the contracts.
Gotcha.
Department of Defense think everything in your house they buy. I want you to remember that everything in your house, the Department of Defense buys.
Wow.
So if you're selling anything that's in your house, DOD's buying it. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? So we got one more minute.
Yes,
So
do
our
you
next,
do private mentorship?
what was that?
Do you do personally private mentorship consultations?
Yes,
free?
we do coaching.
Yes, and development?
Yes. So we have different services that we provide. I would say go sign up for a discovery call. And what we do from there is we figure out what it is you're looking for, and we'll provide you with the right service that we're providing for that.
Okay, thank you.
Our next V-GovCon Live, we have them every Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So our next one is February 22nd. During that, we'll be talking more about if you're a minority business, we'll be talking about the millions of dollars that President Biden is adding to his budget just for small disadvantaged businesses. So, and these are your minority owned businesses. So if you qualify as a small disadvantaged or minority owned business, you definitely don't want to miss that session. We're going to go through where the money's at. We're going to go through what certifications do you need, what things you need to register for, and some of the opportunities that are available. And they told me February is when everything's starting up. So that money and everything came through, I think, President Biden's Job Act. So if you've heard of it, you can go read upon it. It tells you all about the money that they have in there for small businesses. Okay, but we'll provide more guidance for you at the next session so that you can start working on those goals on how, if you're not a minority registered business today, what things you need to put in place to be able to do that, for you to be able to go after this money. The money's there, folks,
Yes.
but are you registered to go get it? All right. Well, thank you, and thanks for tuning in with us at V-GovCon Live with Varetta Huggins. We thank you so much for all that you've done and for attending. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you again.
Bye.
Thank you.